Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it.
Welcome back to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. We are pleased to be joined today by the head coach at Rice University, Brian Lee. Brian, thanks for joining the show. How's it going?
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, season off and running for the Owls. You guys getting underway. Recently, a very tough game. You guys played the defending champions, UNC. I know those games, early in the season get you going. What was it about wanting to play UNC, and what can you guys take from that?
Yep. We started about 4 years ago where come the end of the season, we really want to try and see if we can get an away game at the defending national champion for the next year. We've done it a couple of times with Florida State, now with North Carolina, and it's always been a real positive. And certainly we think this one was a positive this year against North Carolina, certainly last year against Florida State. It was, and the idea behind it is early in the season, it'll really help us see where we're at, and especially defensively, how good can we be? What does it look like? Flow to flow. And the Carolina game was great. I thought we defended really well. A couple unfortunate, for lack of a better phrase, really just goalkeeping mistakes. And we happened to score an own goal on a nice cross, and if not, we've defended fantastically for a majority of the game. So that's the idea behind it. See where we're at really early against the best teams in the country and away at their place, at the hardest place to play.
Yeah, now you got another tough one, Oklahoma State coming up, Big 12 team. I know you guys are putting yourselves out there, getting this big competition as you continue, to press forward into your conference season and hoping to make the NCAA tournament. How important are these, early season pre-conference games?
Very important. Our ultimate goal is to win the AAC, either the regular season tournament or both. And, these games help prep us for it. To be able to get a Big 12 team here on campus is a big deal for us. And particularly for us, we're going to play 2 to 3, depending on the year, Power 4 teams. And we want to find ones who will do home and homes with us and who are going to finish top 5 or so in their league. And if you use that as targets, Oklahoma State's a great team to play. They're either in the NCAA tournament or just barely out every year. So it's also a chance to help with our at-large resume if we have a good enough team.
And early coming into this season, you guys added Jane Campbell, who a lot of our fans will know, the Houston Dash goalkeeper, former NWSL goalkeeper of the year, U.S. Women's National Team. She has all the accolades, right? Volunteer assistant coach for you guys. How did that kind of come about, and how does her presence help you guys in developing?
Yeah, she's way more than helping the goalkeepers. Number one, she's such a great person to have around the program. And Stanford educated, so she's got an idea of what life is like for Rice student athletes. And really what we ask of her to do is just kind of mentor all the kids and chip in where she can and, across the board with the whole team. It's been fantastic so far. Really how it came about is Bella, our goalkeeper coach, once in a while do some goalkeeping things with her, and Megan Kinnaman, our former goalkeeper coach, who does some individual training in town now, he knows Jane really well as well. And we heard that she was doing a little coaching and kind of dabbling her foot in it. And so we just reached out to her and asked her. And maybe I was a little shocked. She said yes, but she's been awesome, and she's not at practice every day just because of the Dash schedule, but she comes when she can, and it's been a great addition.
Yeah, and coming into the season, I know you guys coming off some successful seasons since you've been here, but you have some standout players coming back, some transfers coming in. How important is this early season, getting everyone on the same page, figuring out your lineups, figuring out how you guys are going to gel as you go into this main part of the year?
Yeah, it's really important. We had a good season last year, 12 wins, had ourselves in contention at the end of the year to win the league. But we think this team's much deeper and much better, really. And the strength of last year's team was depth. But along with that comes competition for starting spots and playing rotation. And for the coaching staff, the depth can make it harder as well. So right now we're just trying to work through, we're playing 23, 24 kids a game early. That's got to get down to 20. Then maybe it gets down to 18. But the competition's tough. A bunch of our returning kids have improved, and the recruiting with the transfers and the freshmen who've come in there's more of them than that we lost. So it's up to the coaches right now to get that sorted. And we're going to need a couple more games, to be honest.
Yeah, and we mentioned Oklahoma State coming home, but last season you guys 10-1-1 at Holloway Field at home. That we talked about a little before we came on, but the Houston weather always a challenging one for opposing fans. But what is it about playing at home, and how important is that for you guys to be a strong home team?
Oh, it's super important. We don't have as many home games this year, so we really got to cash in on the ones we have. At Holloway, I think our student support is fantastic. We're right on campus. The setting is beautiful. Um, so to me, it's a fair. You're staring at the Med Center. It's a bit of an intimidating place to play, but our student support's really good as well. And they're certainly, for me, they're worth like a goal a game when they turn out and they're really getting after it.
One of your key players, Leah Chansey, we saw her big year last year. She's starting to make all the preseason lists, the top 100, top drawer. She's one of those players that's on the rise. What can you tell us about Leah and just what she means to the program?
She means a ton. We were lucky to have her come as a spring transfer when she came over from SMU. So she had the whole off season with the girls and really was able to earn their trust and just starting with being a good teammate and leader and all those kind of things. And then springboarded. What's wonderful about Leah is, she scored a ton of goals last year, but it was like a goal a game. It wasn't a hat trick here and then two quiet ones. She's really good on set pieces, which helps. But then she's always trying to score. We're trying to get a little higher up the field this year, get around the box even more often uh, as she develops.
Talking about kind of building a culture, we've got to talk to some other coaches, and culture is such a big word nowadays. Getting the right players not only on the field but for that culture. You guys were named the AAC Coaching Staff of the Year, so you guys are building that culture. But how do you kind of build that with the student athletes, and especially at Rice? I know you guys have a very higher academic than a lot of universities. How do you kind of juggle building a program like that?
Well, one of the things we deal with at Rice is the kids are just super high achievers in whatever they do. And soccer, some of them are really into soccer, might want to be pros, but some of them are just soccer players who, whatever I do, I'm going to try my hardest and I want to succeed. So, part of our job is to get them to relax and make sure we're enjoying it and make sure the practice is a release from your academic challenges, not another challenge thrown on top of you. And then, from a culture standpoint, we're super relationship based. Night before the game, basically how it works, I'll have a positional group or two over at the house for dinner. If you're not in the dinner week, we're meeting individually in a coffee shop with every player. And it's super time consuming. But I think it's so important with the modern athlete, just to have a walk around relationship before we're trying to coach them. That's for sure.
Yeah, and being in Houston, one of the biggest cities, and it seems like Houston's almost an untapped market a lot of times. There's so many clubs and youth setups in Houston. How important is having those relationships and being able to, go to all these? There's so many great players in Houston, but seeing all those players and getting to keep them in Houston and wanting them to play for a school like Rice.
Yeah, it's a really big deal. And we've always had a strong Houston contingent on the team. Right now, maybe 5 or 6 of our kids are Houston kids. One of the things I think you get, it's so much easier for them to come out to our ID camps. It's so much easier for us to go see them play. And the opportunity to get them to know them as players and even as people sometimes before they're on campus is much greater just by geography. And we're lucky to be in Texas, and it's a strong soccer state. And we're lucky to be in Houston, where we've got a ton of good clubs and good coaches, experienced coaches, kind of showing them the ropes before they get here.
And looking ahead to the rest of the season, we talked a little bit about your early season, but you've talked about you guys want to win the AAC. You want to win the AAC tournament. Obviously, you want to get to the NCAA tournament. But what are some goals for you guys both this season and kind of looking forward with Rice?
Yeah, we're always just trying to improve day to day once we're in the season. So that's number one, and it'll stay number one right down to the very end. But we do think we've got a talented team and we've got enough veteran leadership that we can compete to win the AAC. It's our third year in the league now, so we get more and more comfortable. To do that, Memphis and South Florida have great programs. They're historically top 40, and we actually have both of them at home. So if we can, defend Holloway the way we have in the past years, hopefully that's a big advantage to up our chances. And then, heading into the future, I came to Rice 7 years ago from LSU, and LSU had just won the SEC, but I came here because I thought it was a better job. In a better soccer job. It's not a better college football, college baseball, basketball job, that's for sure. But in college soccer, the best players want to go to high academics. We're lucky in our state. Texas is a great school. A&M's a great school as well, but Rice is the best school in the state, and we're basically an Ivy League school playing in Texas, which is super rare, from an academic standpoint. So recruiting, we've always shot very, very high. Our 26 class, one of the services has us in the top 10. They're saying, and I think our 27 class is even better. And in women's soccer, this recruiting goes so quick. Now, we're almost done with our 2027 class, but I think the sky's the limit for the program. We can have a steady top 20, always competitive to win the league, and maybe at the right time. We've been to the Sweet 16, but I think we can go even further.
He's Brian Lee, the head coach at Rice University. Coach, before we let you go, I know we have a lot of fans in Houston, a lot of soccer fans. They may not have been out to see Rice, been out to Holloway Field to check you guys out. What can you say out to all the soccer fans out there in Houston to come out and see the Owls this season?
Yeah, come see us. I think the students help with a great environment. It's a fun watch. They're the type of student athletes you'd want your children to be. If you got kids playing soccer, I would bring them out. Watch how our kids act on the field. They're total class, win, lose, or draw, and great role models for people with younger soccer aspiring kids. So come give us a look.
Definitely, Coach. We will definitely get out to some Rice games this season ourselves. He is Rice University head coach Brian Lee. Brian, we really appreciate the time. Best of luck to the Owls tonight and the rest of this season.
Thank you, and we appreciate what you're doing for Houston soccer. This pod is awesome.